We've been working for years. India has been realigning more with us. I think particularly young Indians understand that the Indian diaspora here in America is one of our greatest assets. And we suddenly, he has taken on, I think based on kind of a personality fight with Modi, where I don't want the Indians to buy Russian oil. He wouldn't whack China on that. He stuck India with a 50% tariff. The third biggest purchaser of Russian oil is Turkey, and they got a 15% tariff. So I think there has been a chaotic approach. And then, when it comes like technology, and I think again, the Biden crowd, chip caps probably didn't make sense.
Yeah.
But the idea of how we guard cutting edge technology, even if we're not gonna have chip caps, we at least should have security about leakage on some of our most critical intellectual property.
Talking about these NVIDIA
Yeah,
sales.
one day he's for it, and that kind of technology, and then the next day he is saying sales as long as there is the American government gets a cut.
Yeah.
If I have to say this, and I don't think this is, I think there's almost, I'm not sure where the Republican Party went, because I think there's a Trumpism group, and the Democrats, we got our own problems about figuring things out. But if there had been any previous president, Republican or Democrat, that was taking equity shares in major American companies, or taking a whole series of, you don't get some of the cutting edge companies, the way almost as I said as a former venture capitalist, taking shares, you'd be called a socialist. So I think it has been a,
Senator Hollywood, he was just up here, probably would call it populist.
well, and it's just, it's not, the notion, like on chips, John Cornyn and I did the chips bill.
Yeah.
We should have probably, it was a shame on us, we probably should have had some back end if this had, that there was, excessive profits or things that had home run, the American taxpayer would get something of that. But the notional idea of taking an equity share in a company that still has got a really rough road to hoe, and what that says to other American innovation companies, I mean, frankly, the absolute leader in the space is TSMC in chips, and we need to find ways to bring more TSMC intellectual property here to America. Will TSMC make that move if one of its major competitors, the American government, has a big equity stake? So I think it is the most unorthodox approach I've ever seen. So far the markets have obviously done well, and the president celebrates that. But it's been...
Is that surprised you, by the way?
Yeah, I think there's been this sense of...
Are you like waiting for the shoe to drop?
Well, I mean, it's a little bit like he's doing so many things on tax and deregulatory that we're going to turn a blind eye at all the others. I think at some point this will all catch up. I think, the effect of the tariffs, I think we've all, it has not had the dramatic effect we thought, but I think people have cooked that in. But as we get into next year, I think there will be a huge effect. And one of the things, since you gave me this open-ended question, I don't want to use up all the time on the first question.
You've got 7 minutes, so
But,
let's keep rolling.
I think the thing, as somebody that was trying to get rehired one last time, I think the issue in
Say
terms
just one last one.
yeah.
This is it.
And I'm not going to be one of those guys that are going to take out.
Yeah, we heard it.
Destruction. Yeah, I've said that in the folks shortly. I think one of the issues of our time, definitely by 28, but definitely by 26, is the economic disruption brought on by AI.
Yeah.
And I'm not as worried about job loss where company X says we're going to fire this many people. I think where the dislocation is going to come is on entry-level jobs coming out of college. We're already at 9% recent college graduate unemployment. I think that number could go to 25%. And what that would have would be a double whammy, because it would not only affect that age cohort, but all those parents who dropped 200 grand are going to be really pissed off.
And in debt, probably, right?
And in debt. And I think what we've got to do is not be, I'm a pro-tech guy, pro-innovation guy. I think AI will create a next generation of jobs, but there's going to be a 3 to 5 year transition where I've been spending a lot of time with the AI entities saying, you got to help us figure out that transition, because you'll say, government, you guys are screwed up. Okay, fine. You figure it out, but you got to help pay for it as well.
Yeah.
On what this transition looks like. And I think it will be an incredibly potent issue, and if we can get the community, AI community to actually engage with this, and so far, again, don't believe anything until it's down on paper, I think it'll be an opportunity. But this, if we get it wrong, you can see this populist left and right movement, anti-technology, anti-innovation, which I think, again, long
Does that scare
term.
you as a tech guy?
It worries me, it also worries me as a pro-American innovation leader, that could happen. And I don't again see, even within the realm of AI safety, the administration is so rolled back, and we've accepted so much we can't do anything because we could lose the race with China, that I think we're not treating with enough seriousness. And I do think this job dislocation, and particularly with entry-level jobs, and if we look back, even in good faith, a long time ago, 3 years ago, we said, well, what we ought to do is at least make everybody a coder.
That's not a good job choice.
So we just, anyway, and again, I wish there was, entities in the White House thinking not only about the technology competition with China on AI, but you can be sending mixed messages on chip caps and other things, or chip restraints or not, but also this economic dislocation.